Alrighty, let's see if this stream works. What are we at? 50%, 30 frames per second, 3600k bit. Might actually work. Now to see if anyone struggles in. Oh, you're working on the radar. Okay. Just don't cook your brains. Seems like everyone's asleep at the moment. That's okay. It's interesting how much easier the machine runs. Look, this is my Pentium G3420, and it's got no problems at all encoding. I mean, I'm at 50%, but yeah, it's doing 1080 and it's fine. But because it's not video input, so it's, yeah, too late. Brain's semi-cooked. Oh well. You might attract the attention of Hannibal. Hey, RTC. Extreme. Okay. Hey Vince, 3 p.m. UK time. Ah, you haven't quite knocked off yet. Okay, well, from this morning, for any of you watching the build, I've done the preliminary work to get this up and running. So at this point, I can adjust the time counter, anything from 0 all the way up to 127. So that's the first part done. Third stream, 24 hours. Yeah, I'm getting a bit out of control. Alright. Alright, so right now, even though I've got the numbers showing up for the time, minutes that I want, it doesn't do anything else. Like, I've got no button response, I don't have any buzzer type response. So one of the first things I'll probably do is make a buzzer routine. And now I'm going to want to have a variable tone buzzer routine. So I can sort of do two-tone responses like high-low to indicate the end of something, and low-high to indicate the start of something. Let's see. And what pin's our buzzer on? Our buzzer is on PB0. Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't need that. Is the new scope from Lewis the same as yours? No, his is a slightly more recent model by the looks of it. I think I got the trail end of the older stock where they'd modified the existing non-trinocular ports to be the trinocular ones by putting a sticker over that port and just some other little minor things. Let's see. Also, buzz port. Yeah, leave it there. And doing buzzes on these things is a little bit interesting. The theoretical frequency you want is 2,700, somewhere between 2,500 and 2,700. So, let's see, 1.5 megahertz divided by 2,500. So we want about 600 cycles per clocking of the waveform. So buzz and 8 duration. Probably made this 16. Changing my mind on all these things. Width T. This is going to be a hack and try, cut and try type thing. Hey, from the ashes. I wonder if I've got the microsecond timer in this. Okay. I just realized I've done a mistake down below. That should actually be... I don't have to do these defines. I just find it easier if the project gets a bit too large. I'm going to do this a slightly... Okay, we want a square wave for this. And let's see, volatile... No. And we're just going to waste cycles. The AVRs have an interesting feature where if you normally you set the port value by using the actual port name like port B, etc., and you set the value. But there's a trick you can do where you can toggle the output by actually setting the pin, like in this case, say pin B. Okay, which is normally use this pin B to read things, but if you actually set it to 1 for that bit, it will toggle the output. It can be a convenient thing at times, like in this case where we just want to save ourselves turning on, turning off, or anything like that. We just run the loop multiple times and let it toggle on and off, and then when we get to the end of the loop, we'll explicitly turn it off. So it's explicitly turned off there. Like I said, this is all cut and dry. I'm actually going to end up. So, what? That's not where I wanted to be. I'm just simply going to be listening to this to see what it does. Hey, Alex. Hey, Kraje. Now, I want to make it so that I want to press that button for it to buzz. I don't want to have it buzzing endlessly while I try to reprogram it. Because if I hit the resonance on this, it's quite loud, especially for this time of the night. It's around about 85 dB will come out of that speaker if I hit it right on the mark. I probably won't, but just in case I do. So what I will do is, in this loop here, I'll check to see if the button's been pressed. So while push button pin. Now when it's been pressed, it will actually pull low. And the reason being is if you go over to the horrible schematic where I've made a complete mess of everything. Oops. This is the push button here. And oh, it needs its internal pull up. Almost forgot that. So rather than explicitly having a pull up here so that the input remains high, what you do is you activate the pull up internally, which I have already forgotten how to do. I always forget these minor things. No, I have to go back to the manual. Anyway, so while the button's being pressed, pulled to ground, which is why it's 0 here, we will then do the buzz. We will try, I don't know, we'll try 5 and 50 cycles of that. 100 cycles. Okay. Now I better do the pull up, otherwise it's just not going to work at all. I always forget how to do these. I hate this PDF reader. This one's a bit better. Except now I don't have an index. I think I've just got to here we go, this is what I want. Okay, so we want the data direction to be 0, the port bit, that's the one I want there. I've got to set the port bit. Okay. push button, pin, port. And that should do that. Hey, Greg. Alex, yeah, you sort of get C isn't that bad. It's a little bit, it gets a bit pedantic at times, but overall it's okay. Let's see if we can flash this. See what happens. Well, no errors and no wailing, so let's see what we can do next. I can't hear a damn thing, so I don't know whether I'm... I think one way we can confirm that the button is working when I press it for this thing up here is to manipulate the ADC value, the count value, so that it will count plus equal 100. And so we'll know at least then if the button has been pressed. So we've got 53 on the display now, and I'll hold that. Okay, so for some reason we're not reading the button. Did I remember to put the... Yeah, the Atmel data sheets are much better than the microchip pick ones. Those things were hellish. I never got into the microchip, into the picks, because they were just, yeah, they were just way too crazy. Okay, so what's going on here? We'll change this to simply be if pb pin that way holding the button down doesn't block the sequence. Yeah, we're definitely not getting any response on the button press there. Hey, Johnny Lation, Electron Ash. Oh yeah, I did mention that. It's a bit of a shame that Atmel didn't buy a microchip instead of vice versa. Yeah, I gotta say, when, I mean, Microchip's been angling to buy Atmel for a very long time, and it's always been a concern. Let's see, is my pull up PC2? Did I even get that right? Push button, put pin C. What's on PB2? Oh, right, that's... PB2 is one of the... third digit. Johnny, basically, this is just a just a little sort of egg timer kind of thing. And I know a million of them already exist in the market, but I had two criterion, well, I think two criterion. Um, Mechanical ones go tick, 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 tick as they wind down. And also, they usually don't go for more than 15 minutes or maybe half an hour. And I needed this one to go up to about 2 hours. And I wanted it to have no noise. And I wanted it to be able to be set very easily. I just want to be able to turn a dial to pick the minutes I want, which is this up here. And then I just want a simple stop, start, clear button, and that's it. Okay. It's a case of there's many devices out there, but there's most of them have all got one little quirk about them that ruins it for what I wanted to do. And right now, the bigger quirk I've got here is that don't seem to be responding to this bit value. What I've got here is I am enabling what am I doing? This is the PD7, that's the 8th segment on the 7-segment displays, which is actually the decimal point. And I'll set it down here. Just wondering what I'm missing here. It seems all too... It's like I've overlooked something. Okay, so if I press that, I would have expected that button to go. I suppose if I go grab the multimeter, I'll be able to determine if it's... but of course the multimeter's in the other room because this is the administration room. It could well be the fact that I put a 1K resistor on there. I think, oh, wait a second. I think I put a much bigger resistor on there. I wasn't thinking at the time. Okay, I've just got to disconnect this. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing. And the reason why the battery pack is like that is because of, as I mentioned earlier, I had things backwards on the circuit board. So this will suffice for me to get the software going, and then the next board will have the right orientation. Okay, and yeah, no wonder it's not working. I put a 100k resistor on there, so that's never going to cause it to pull down, because I think the pull up in the AVRs is around about 50k to 100k. So if you've got 100k, let's bring this up. So this here, if this was 100k, it's never going to be able to pull the value of this pin down below about half, whereas you really want it to go straight to ground. Now you're probably sort of thinking, well, why didn't I just make this go straight to ground in the first place? It's a bit of a precaution type thing. I like to give myself the opportunity or the availability of debugging things or checking things. And you'll probably find if you look on any sort of iPhone schematics or boards and most electronics, you will find that there's a lot of things like the no stuff parts or the 0 ohm link parts and things like that. But you kind of think, why do they do that? And oh, dinner. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ha. Right. Now you're going to have to put up with me yabbering away because, yeah, I've got chips. Oh, nice hot chips. And peri peri sauce. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Ah, that's hot peri peri sauce too. Awesome. Yeah, Electron Ash, I really need to change it to a, yeah, it's a pull down. Plot twist, the button is bad. Yeah, Alex, I've actually had that problem in the past with the particular buttons that I've got in use here. I used them on a commercial project that I was doing, and I bought a couple of thousand of these things. About 25% of them were just going dud on me for some reason. I couldn't work it out. I never did truly work it out. All I can think of is maybe the iron was just too hot or something like that. Chips probably need more salt though. Mind you, you start mixing salt with the extra hot peri peri and it gets a little weird. So now you're going to have to wait for me to get through at least half of this because I don't want to have to wash my hands straight afterwards just because I don't want to get lead poisoning and things like that. We're going to put these. There you go. They're good. Do any of you guys get Nando's peri peri chicken where you are? I suppose if you're in the United States you probably don't know it, but UK and South Africans and Australians should. And Greg, now I still like my AVRs. I mean, I know most people have now moved on to the STM32s and things like that, but for 90% of the projects that I'm doing, the AVR is more than ample. Make that 95%. I mean, this, I'm using, 620 bytes of the flash, and that's got an 8K flash in it. I can probably, when we're finished, we're probably looking at about 1K. So it's an overkill all the way. The only reason why I ended up using that particular TQFP32 size is because I needed all the pins, or at least more of them. So what we've only got a couple that aren't used. We've got a whole bunch being used for the driving the segments, and then we've got the 3 down here to drive the MOSFETs. And we've got the button, and this is the dial. And over here we've got the crystal. Pardon me. From the Ash, if you guys do, you'd do curry and chips, wouldn't you? Don't you guys? I'm pretty sure you guys do that. It's a fairly Moorish mix. Yeah, real chips, real tasty chips. Ones that won't give you cancer and kill you. If you've never had Nando's before, get the medium. Don't get the lemon and herb. It's not really truly Nando's or anything. If you're a bit of a lover of heat, then sure, try the extra hot peri peri, but it's pretty damn brutal. It's not ghost pepper chili or anything like that brutal, but it's certainly up there in terms of you're starting to lose the ability to taste flavor. But for me, I'd say just getting a whole peri peri chicken is a very nice meal. The burgers are really good, and so are the pita breads. When I first landed in South Africa, the very first night I was there, my initiation dinner was to eat an extra hot peri peri chicken, and that was pretty brutal. But fortunately, I had plenty of hot, spicy food practice at that point. Mm. Good to see curry and chips as a standard food. I love that combo. I see they've got a number of restaurants over there in the UK that specialise in that sort of offering. It's very Moorish food. And I like my curries too. I probably had to back off a little bit off them lately, but for reasons of my internal health. But yeah, the Nando's is really top stuff. We're halfway there. Getting there. It's a good meal to have at midnight. Yeah, Electron Ash, I agree with you. It's like, I mean, I get it. Some people get off on the endorphins of the extreme heat. But if I'm going out for a meal, I'm actually wanting to eat something for eating, then yeah, I want to be able to taste that food. And I find around here, back in Australia, a lot of the restaurants don't get it right. They just chuck in a whole heap of heat and sort of go, there you go, it's very hot. And you're like, no, well, it's tasteless. It's like just burning. There's no flavour there. You've got to get the flavour. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I'd rather take a little bit less heat and get some good taste. Tried a teaspoon of foul curry. Haven't heard of that one. Painful. That's not good. I know when I was overseas, one of the favourite meals we'd have, I think we call them curry bunnies or something like that. I can't remember now. It's 20 years ago. But we would take a uncut loaf of bread and you rip off the end of it, and then you pull the stuffing out, and then you stuff it full of curry, and then you just sort of like eat it. It's like this whopping great big curry roll. I'm pretty sure we called them curry bunnies. Huh. Yeah, well, that's good. These days I usually make a chicken or a potato curry. It's just a sort of a green type curry. Nothing really exotic. Or I'll have rice and curry. Quite enjoy that. Hey Cormac. Yeah, this is the mukbang intermission while we're thinking about things. And you can listen to the ASMR of me chewing away on things. At least you don't have the trauma of actually seeing me eat. You're just only going to listen to it. Does anyone else see the Lewis Rossman Amscope unboxing? It's going to be curious to see how he goes coping with that vibration. I'm interested to see if it's coming from the articulated arm itself. It doesn't have enough dampening. Or whether it's coming from his desk. But since he's not doing too many videos anymore, he's better off getting something that works with him. And obviously, articulated arms are very nice for that. But I'm lucky with my own desk because it's solid mounted to the wall, and then I've got that dual arm boom. It doesn't tend to jump around too much. My absolute favourite hot thing to eat is sauce I made from blackberries and Scotch bonnet peppers, sweet and spicy at the same time. It's great for barbecue. Actually would be quite interesting. mind you, I wouldn't be able to handle Scotch bonnets at this point. I'll probably start to run out of comfort these days now, a bit above Tabasco. Jalapenos are really great, but... So, Joshua, you think it's predominantly his desk? I mean, from what I've seen in the past, his desk is rather flimsy. So, yeah. I'm sure there's probably some movement in the articulated arm, but yeah. Hopefully he'll get a adapter for his camera because that would drive me insane how it's sitting up there like a rooster's tail. Yeah, complete with the captain tape to hold it in place. I mean, that was one of the more painful parts of getting my microscope, is getting that camera adapter. Just drove me up the flipping wall. And I was just lucky that the person I got the camera from over in AliExpress happened to just be releasing the adapter made for the camera to go onto the aim scope. So it was a bit expensive. It was about 90 odd US dollars to get it, but definitely worth it. The trick is not to put too much of the peppers in the sauce. To make a blackberry syrup and add half peppers to it. That's a bit more. So that's sensible sauce making. So, I mean, I get it if you're going to do a university prank or something, or you're just a bit of a masochist. I'm sure we'll go for all peppers and whatnot, but yeah, if you just want to eat a nice meal, no thanks. Whew. Okay, well, I'm just fractionally getting a little bit of a sweat, but not too bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you guys on an audio trip, which you've already been sitting on, and we're just simply going to short that 100k capacitor, 100k resistor, and that should get things. Create this hitting of the ball and running and things like that. I gotta say, I don't really miss the so-called good old days. I like my modern times. Right. Back in the room. Let's see, there we go. You can already see unpress it and the little lamp comes up. So that was what that fault was. Now I've got to put this. Now I've got to put the programming header back in. It's a very unprofessional programming header. All I'm doing is putting a 1mm pitch 6-way inline header straight into the back of the board. Okay, let's get into the programming. So theoretically, this now might do what we want. Hopefully I don't fry the buzzer. Not hearing the buzzer. Either my frequency is way too high or too low. Try 50. What's going on? Hey Serbia, Game Music Grotto. Change this to a 16-bit value. Alright, we can actually use the dial for something here. 200? No, we'll go 100. Now the dial is going to give us a value between 0 and 120, so we will multiply that by 10. Count times 10. I'm not even going to while loop it. This will give me a way of finding out how far or close I am. So we'll start down at about 2. Okay, we're getting something. So 3, so 30 is about where we want to be. So 40 and 30. It's always fun debugging stuff without a scope, without using your brains. Make this two-tone. That's weird. That's not buzzing. Yeah, ecstatic. The problem is I can't set the frequency directly. All I've got the ability to do is set the delay loop and that's really in a case of cycles. But I don't know how many. So it's easy to set these cycle delays, pardon me, but I don't know what the function entry and all this stuff here is going to use up. So you sort of get the ballpark area and you then take it from there. Now I can't work out why though this is not. So that worked. Oh, yes we. No, I'm good, thanks. My Sennheiser headphones keep bumping into the wall door. So maybe this actually isn't activated. PV pin and one PV. Oh, I know why. I left off a bracket. What was happening was that this here was evaluating separate from this, rather than in my mind I was thinking this here would evaluate and then compare to this. So that's why it wasn't triggering off. So now if we go for perfect. Ecstatic, if you're using something like Arduino programming language, on which is basically just a macro set or function set on top of C, then yeah, you can probably do that. But this is just a straight plain bottom of the barrel C, so it's not going to work the same way. Anyway, we've found what we want now, so that's all that I care about. So 40, 30. Okay. Comments. 40 is low. Frequency. That is high. Okay. The big thing I've found with the AVRs is that I didn't have to modify the way I coded very much at all to work with them. And best of all is the, what do you call it? The portability of the code. Like I can write this, I'm writing this for the Mega 88 or any of the Mega 8X series, and I can take it up to all the way up to their 256s, and with some modifications drop it back down to the tiny series as well. The portability is beautiful, and the amount of memory that they give you in these is fantastic. 10 years ago it was just an absolute godsend. It was like jumping to PHP compared to being forced to do everything with CGI bin on the websites. The button reading done. Thing work. I would imagine as a user is you're going to set your time, so like that, and then you would press and hold the button until it confirms it, and then it should begin the countdown. So we need a press and hold type thing. And we need to set different modes of operation. So if mode setting time. I already had predefined these. Okay. There's a really dirty way of doing this sort of thing. You can sort of go, you can check to see if the button is pressed, and then you delay for a little bit, say 1.5 seconds, and then you check again to see if it's been pressed. And we change the mode. Countdown. Hey, hummed it. Yep, doing good here. The other thing we want to do is we want to set how long this is going. Now, the time on the display there is in minutes, so we need to convert that to seconds. So seconds left equals count times 60. Pardon me. Okay, if run mode equals mode countdown, yeah, well, I'm sort of cheating with the debouncing there. I'm just assuming that it will work out. That 2 seconds later it will still be reading load. There is a capacitor. I do have electronic debouncing in there as opposed to just purely software. Okay, let's see. Run mode is countdown. Okay, what this little weird thing is going to do is while it's in the countdown mode, it will make the decimal point tick along. Now we're going to expand. I'll just do bits at a time. So we'll get the... Okay. If run mode... If flag time up. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot almost. Flag time up equals 0. So what this is, if we finally run out of time, and we are in the run mode, then we'll reset the flag. No, we don't bother resetting that. We'll change the run mode to back to the user setting time. What else? Actually, we should change that to mode alarm. Okay. If run mode, I should really do this as a switch statement, but anyway. You can make all these nice bits of code later. So with the alarm, what we'll do is we'll just do a nice annoying like this in a loop until somebody presses the button. Endless loop. Gotta love endless loops. That. Steal that. Run mode equals. And then we'll break out of the loop. I'll probably get something wrong here, and that's okay. I think we've done enough. It is all running in a great big while loop. I could have also done this as a interrupt-driven system, but Let's see, run made undeclared. Well, no great big surprise there. So, 8 to run. And okay, what have I done wrong? I'm going to change this all to a big switch statement. So kill me. Or do I really want to do that? No, I don't want to do it that way yet. Not exactly sure why it's flicking. It's like obviously something's. This here does not need to be outside of the main thing. So that can go in there. Englishman in Brazil, hello. That code we don't need anymore. That was debugging. All this here is display mode stuff. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, I know what I've done. Yeah, sorry. I didn't enclose this whole sequence. That's what it was. That explains everything. We're getting up towards our 1K size. Ah. That was dumb. I'm actually surprised the compiler didn't complain about that. Normally it does. Still not doing what we expect. So I should be seeing the decimal point cycling across. Is count used elsewhere? Yes, it's used here. If countdown. Well, let's do this. Maybe use a wait string instead of a break. That way it waits for input instead of halting. Not exactly sure what you're referring to there. Are you meaning up in this section here where I've got the delay? So this is where interrupt driven can be more useful, because at the moment the segments are being driven on the fly. Yeah, conditional operator. I agree. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. At least it was easy enough to spot in this small code. It's a little more hellish when you've got hundreds of thousands of lines. Pardon me. Okay, looks like this will get rid. So D5 and push that under here. Well, we know the alarm works. And we know the shutdown works. Oh well. Well, we know those bits work. But for some reason, while it's in the countdown mode, it's not yet producing the desired indicator to say I am counting down. Oh, here we go. Weird, it's not doing the third one. That's been set, hard set somewhere else. Why are you being overridden? Hmm. We'll do it differently. Now I've got duplicate code here. For the sake of testing, I might just change that countdown to, oops, simply be whatever I've set there. In terms of seconds rather than minutes. 5 seconds. Okay, well that works. Oh, you mean in terms of programming syntax as opposed to APIs and whatnot? Does it not only zero on the first, when you initialize, does it not only zero it on the first pass? Let's see, main loop. It gets initialized. The reason why I've got these at 0 here, and this happens with every single rendering pass, which is about 20, 30 times a second, is because I want all the segments off so that I don't have leading zeros. That's what's causing that digit to show up. Now I understand why. It'll probably make it go away when I do this. Oops. No, that one's still coming. I don't know why it's not doing that one. That is weird. The other thing I want to do, pardon me, is while it's in the countdown mode, I want it to blank the display, but I want, if the person just presses the button quickly, it will show the time remaining, and if they hold it down a long time, it will reset it. Oh, I know now why it's saying 0, because it's dividing it up. You watch, if I put it to 120, we should get 2 on the display. Let's wind this all the way up. Now it should give us a 2. Yep, it does. That's what that was. So while I'm in this countdown mode, I want to see if there's been a button press. Similar enough to this. Just yank 7 lines out of there. I don't know if 7 was the right number, but we're going to make it a very short one. This is the exit routine. Setting time. Yeah, that's not really even needed because that gets reset regardless. The SSA, that's for 7-segment array. Basically that holds, it's 3 bytes and each byte holds the segments that need to be on as just an 8-bit number for each one there. I really need to put in a wait thing. I need to put in a wait loop there to wait for the person to actually take their finger off the button. So here we'll go while pin and I can move these all to functions later to make it easy. Okay, so that there basically waits until the person releases their finger before it does anything. Alright. Okay, except that's looping. Why? That will be... no, that should mask it properly. PB pin and PB bit. There it goes. Yeah. Alright, where's that jumping out? I shouldn't even need that. I should be able to just do that. may have to make a better software debouncer. It's almost like it's ignoring it. Well, this is when you hack it and just simply put in a half-second delay there. The 80 mega 88 in this case. Oh wait, you're talking about someone else. Why are you still showing a 0? You're killing me, man. Oh, the audio broke up. That's not good. The chip we're using is an 80 mega 88. But I mean, this really could work with anything as small as an 80 mega 80 tiny 48. Okay. I'm gonna put a bit. This is a really nasty, horrible, dreadful hack. It assumes the person has lifted their finger within a second of the affirmation chime. I suppose for this, what we've got here is if run mode a certain time, or okay. Alright, so what this section here does is this loads the integer the integer digits into the 7-segment array, display array. And so we only really need that if we're running in the setting of the time or we've been explicitly requested to display the digits. Yeah, the real trick for me is with the display digits, I don't know what I'll do. If we only do it once, it will just flick up for a tiny amount of time. But if we make it its own countdown timer, then it will persist for a few times and then go away. Alright. Nope, that did not persist. I think I killed that one. I need a longer time on the confirmation. Yeah, this is actually going to be a bit of a problem. You can often just detect button press, do 100 minutes, blah, 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 and then wild loop for checking. Yes, I think that's actually probably maybe the better route to go here. I can do again this. I can do the button down. I should actually have, like I did with the display digits thing, and sort of do something like this. Button down plus. But you see, then that doesn't really debounce, because if there's any duration throughout the process whereby it reads it, it shouldn't read it up though, because it has got a capacitor there. I'll need to refactor all this afterwards once I've got it working. Refactoring is something that generally is better to be done without trying to do live streams. Actually, given that if it's in mode countdown, there's no digits to display in the first place, so that's not a problem. So this is ugly, ugly, ugly. And that is why it blinked. That I can't do every time, else I'll go into negative territory. Although theoretically this should, if that is false, then it will just, no it will not, it will evaluate the second one. So if display is, yeah. Okay, I think that's working now. It's displaying 0 because it's dividing by 60. And it looks like 1,000 cycles is probably a bit much. Try 100. And for the, yeah, thank you. And for the purpose of this, we will okay. Okay, 100's a little bit too quick. But I think we're pretty close now. Yep, there we go. Now see if it cancels it. The cancel mode now just has to be fixed up. When the alarm rings, display the set timer and blink it. Is that if statement on 221 for seeing if the button is held down? 221. Yeah, that's so I can differentiate between a long and a short press. If it's a short press, that won't evaluate true, and that's when it will do the display digits rather than cancelling it. And this here, I need to change to while the button's being held down. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Let's try cancel it. There you go. Beautiful. It's working properly now. What is this driving? Not exactly sure. Do you mean in terms of componentry, or as in why am I even doing this in the first place? But it looks like we've got everything running now. I suppose I can now bring back this. We'll call that debugging version. Alright, so we're going to set this at, well, we'll try 1 minute, see if that actually works. Okay. So it's quick press. Showing 0. Why am I saying? Oh yeah, they'll be showing 0 because it will be less than 60, so we want that to be that. We'll wait for the alarm to go off. I haven't even bothered to check to see the accuracy of the timer. I'm sort of assuming it should be pretty good given that it's running off a crystal. Okay, it's good. Okay. 2. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's working. And cancel. That's good. Well, technically, this is now functioning. Oh, right, okay. For what is the actual human purpose or intended use as such? Basically, my wife is a novelist and she likes to make sure that she's only on the computer a certain amount of time when doing her work. And because when you sort of dive into that sort of work, you do tend to lose track of time. So she wanted something that would alert her to the fact that an hour or maybe an hour and a half has passed, but she also doesn't want it to distract her while she is in the process of doing her writing. And the distraction thing rules out the mechanical timers due to their tick, 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 tick noise. And also most mechanical timers either have poor accuracy at one end of the spectrum or the other. So if you want a 2 hour and also to be accurate down to 5 minutes, you got a bit of a problem. It generally isn't so good. And then when you sort of go for a digital egg timer, they suffer the same sort of problem that the things like the Hacko and quick interfaces have, where they have an obsession with push buttons. So it's a bit fiddly then to, if you want to do 2 hours one block and then 10 minutes the next block, you have to sit there and punch the numbers up and down with the up and down buttons. So for that, then we've gone with the dial interface that makes things so much quicker. So you can just like 2 hours or a minute. It's so much easier. And then once again, you just, and away you go. So really, it's a case of designing a timer that works with human behavior a little better. Could make it super evil and hook up to the output of the PC's power switch. Yeah, yeah. I think my first ever paid schematic was to an electronics magazine. This is back in the 80s. And it was a soldering iron timer, because I had a notorious habit of leaving those things just running on the workbench, and I'd walk off. Heck, I even went to school a couple of times with one running. So I just used a 555 with a relay and set it between the soldering iron and the power point, so that if I happened to walk away, it would just switch itself off after half an hour or so. As for thank you. I wonder how much better we could get that audio pitch. Yeah, rotary encoders are great for that. I'm really I like the quick hot air station, and I will be buying myself one and probably putting my Tenma AOE or whatever you want to call it as a second backup one. But I do wish they had rotary encoders. Human behavior should conform to the new overlords. Yeah. I'm just going to have a fiddle here and see if I can't see how close I can get with that audio frequency. Let's see, mode, user setting time, get out of here. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go buzz, count, +1. 50 should do the trick. This is going to be real annoying. Yeah, it is 1:30. So it looks like 30 pretty much is the peak. So it wasn't bad for a thumb suck. These buzzers do have a very sharp response rate though. You can go from very poor output to very loud output in a matter of 100 to 250 hertz. 3 minutes. Well, there it goes. Keeping the Met car running. Auto shutdown thing has never worked. I find a lot of those. I take it it's got a mechanical button on it that your handset has to rest on. The hot air station I've got is actually the same, and it's just like a little push button, and it never activates. So I'll probably change that over to be a what do you call it? A hall sensor instead. At least it'll work. New tips cost 16 to 20 quid each. Yeah. So tried getting a radio encoder working on a FPGA board the other day. Could not get it to work reliably. You think it was a timing issue? Or, oh right, it might have been the specific encoder. I think it was a break before make time. Oh right, yeah, so there wouldn't really be any continuity there between the two pulses. Metcal's supposed to shut down and doesn't detect a thermal load for a while. Oh, on the soldering iron. Oh, okay. I admit when I first saw the Hacko FX951 and the way that it just keeps going to sleep pretty much the moment you put it in back into. I know you can change the parameters. I thought that was going to be annoying, but I gotta admit I quite like the way it does things now, just going straight back to sleep. Definitely it seems to work well with me. Right, heated via induction coupling, tip temp drops when the Curie point lowers under thermal load. Right, yeah, those ones. I haven't tried one of those irons. I know I've seen them around. They command a hefty price, but I've never tried one. So I'm pretty happy with the T12, T15 cartridge tips. I need to get myself a couple more. The KU and the BCM2 I need to get at least. I'm just waiting for this to go off. Should be any second now. I do also have a green LED. I should just see what that looks like. I'm trying to find it. I think it's in the other room. I'll go grab the green one. It's probably going to go start beeping on me now. Hello. I haven't tried the Tenma soldering stations, but obviously you've seen I've got the hot air station, and I am really happy with that hot air station. It is essentially the IOE clone with a different interface on the front. Pardon me. But looking at the quick, I know I want the quick because it's got those presets, and those 3 preset options thing is something I could really do with. Because in a typical job, I will switch back and forth between the different. I just realised there is one thing I forgot to do on this, and that is to put it in, give it a sleep mode. Okay, so that's the red module. We're going to put the green module in now. Okay, green. Doesn't really look as impressive, to be honest. Yeah, I definitely think the red's the better choice. I think the green you'd have to have a filter on it. Let's try with the lights out. There we go. Oh look, it's Kit from Knight Rider. There we go, yeah, 121 mile per hour. Sorry, flashback to the old days. Tenma Station far now, looks really steadily built. Nice to play the tips. Right, you're talking about the soldering stations. Yeah, like I said, now that I've got the Hacko, I really do not think I would ever go back to something else. It's the cartridge tip system that really wins me over. Because I've got a few of the other HA900 type handle systems, but yeah. Alright, so we need to invent a sleep system so that if we have no activity for quite a while, we just go into shutdown type mode. Yeah, I'm trying to think how to do this. Oh, let's just create another variable. um, time for sleep. Hey, fixing things? You're up a little late, although then again, yeah. Yes, Battlestar Galactica. I was pretty disappointed with the remake. Well, it was pretty good right up until the last episode, and then it was like, oh no, they did that, did they? And it kind of left a bit of disappointment feeling in me. I was trying to think how I'm going to do this. I don't really want to go by loops. Say give it 30 seconds before it goes to sleep. I'm going to create a bit of a sleep after. Yeah, the new Star Trek, I agree. The first, especially the first half of the first episode, at the very least, was like really difficult to sit and watch. But yeah, the last two episodes have definitely a significant improvement. I'm trying to think now. Okay, time before. What's going on here? Sleep after seconds, right. So say 30 seconds. I really don't like doing what I'm about to do. Because what's happening here is I'm overloading the interrupt with lots and lots of stuff. What's the Orville? I don't know that one. I'm waiting to see whether they ring out a fifth season of Rick and Morty. I wasn't happy with how the last episode, how we got left at the end there. It was just kind of like really like, no, that was pretty lame. I mean, maybe there's a greater insight to it or something like that. I don't know, but it didn't really stir much in me. Okay, this is what we're going to do. If sleep after seconds 0, we'll say less than 1 for data security and running integrity. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Then we're just going to sit here and do nothing. We'll wait for a key press, which we will steal from down here. See how that goes. The only trouble is this is busy busy while looping. Oh, what is it? Sleep after seconds. Great, gotta put it in my globals. There's a lot of variables in there that I probably should get rid of. Alright, I'll give it 30 seconds and see what happens. Hey, Chris. Didn't realize. Oh, crikey. It's PB Henry's here. Chris, what do you need? Cookie timer. Yeah, close enough. It's a writing timer. Funnily enough, no. Oh, there you are. It's gone to sleep, and we should be able to press the button, and we're back. Now the question is, that shouldn't interfere though with the. Okay. Fairly sure that shouldn't interfere. Pardon me. I may have to reset that when I set the mode again. The reason being is otherwise what can happen is theoretically it shouldn't really happen, but you never know. What I was worried about is the timer is still going to tick down to 0 because it's in the interrupt, and whenever it goes back to the dial input mode, that counter will be at 0, and so it will immediately go straight into sleep mode, which isn't exactly what we want. Can you dial with pot if timer runs? No, you can't. It won't let you change it until you're back into the user input mode. Fixing things, what I was trying to say is, no, my wife actually quite likes the keyboard noises. We bought a cherry, I think it was a cherry blue the other month to replace the IBM M. The IBM keyboard just degenerated a little bit too far, and they use a surprising amount of power. They're about 150, 200 milliamp, I think. So we changed over to a USB, nice fresh white USB, green, when available. Okay, that's good. That's working. Marvelous. Let's see, what's Chris looking for a more analog method for? Ecstatic Bass, yes, she is a published writer. Well, we self-publish, so I won't mislead you on that. If you, let's see, what's there we go. My microphone battery's going dead. It might be because the mic is too close to the receiver. What? Bye, Chris. Let's see. That's our website. There you go. We do have other books that we publish, but I cannot provide those at this point. They stay under a pen name. Let's see. No, well, yeah, so it looks like we're finished, and it's gone to sleep. Yep, you're going to sleep? Yep, you have. There we go. 88 miles per hour. We'll, yeah, The batteries are, but I suspect, Chris, it is the fact that the brick is too close. Because I'm in my other workshop, I haven't got an extension lead for the receiver of the headset, the wireless headset. So, so that at least is working. Let's do the Knight Rider effect. There we go. Oh, and it just... I can't really make it activate if I turn the dial. Well, I suppose I could, but it's more work than it's worth. It's easier just to press a button and... let's see. Modern day Bugatti Veyron acceleration. And there we are. We're already 127 miles per hour. Yeah. Alright, well, pretty much that's it. The firmware is acceptably sorted out for version 1. And we will write a copy of that. First working. Here we go. I think what the problem is, Chris, is that it's the automatic gain control in the Bluetooth circuit or whatever it is just doesn't seem to cope. And I seem to, it could be reflections or something like that, I'm not sure. But I have noticed that if I keep it too close, it will stutter a bit. Divide the prescaler clock by 8, still faster. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I actually drop time sleeping. Really save that much more. Like sound like a Wookiee octopus from I don't know the octopus. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm out of here. Chris, are you gonna do a live stream now? Crap.